It's Slash here, back with another deck profile. Today, we got Infernity from 2014 hat format. Now, this deck is really well known because it did well at the Nationals that year, and then also won Worlds. I'll go into more detail about that, but yeah, the deck's really popular because of those reasons. I personally piloted it for a really long time, even in Fire Water format. It was my main deck, and in the spring, uh, Soul Charge came out, which made this deck really good. The deck, I mean, the format was still really diverse, so it wasn't just like Infernity, best deck. I mean, this deck didn't really get too popular till like around Nationals format, like where like right at the event is when it had a little uptick. But I'm gonna go into my deck profile and compare things of then and now, other deck lists compared to mine and what my idea was. That's a little backstory for this like format. Um, so yeah, Soul Charge came out around in the spring, and I was playing this deck. I went to YCS Philly with a different build than the one I'm showing today, but it did terrible. I mean, I personally got a little unlucky, but yeah, it did terrible. So I kind of took a little break from the deck, and then I started playing other decks just for fun, just testing it out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the Nationals that year, so I was just but yeah, I got tired of those other decks, and I tried Inferni again. I tried some other ideas, and the deck performed really well. Uh, but yeah, I decided since I wasn't going to go to Nationals, I was going to grind Dueling Book, or not Dueling Book, Dueling Network, 2014. Um, so I grind Dueling Network, and then I actually got first on the ladder. I still have a screenshot I can put on the screen. So I got first on the ladder, and I was like top duelist and ranked at that time on Dueling Network. So yeah, this deck's really fun and really good, and I'm gonna go over the deck. So to start off with, we got three Infernity Arching, the heart and soul of the deck. He searches all your Infernity cards, so when you special summon, cards super broken. And going into a little bit more detail about Necromancer, but I play 3 Necromancer. Now, a lot of builds at the time, I see a lot of people play only 2 Necromancer. You only need 2, but I decided to play the third one because it was still really good to this like grind, and it was another Infernity monster to have. Now, obviously, your hands aren't as good when you open like 2 Necromancer. You ideally want to search this card, but my build was a little bit more focused on being able to stall slash grind if I'm not going off and comboing. So the third Necromancer was really good for that. So yeah, that's the reason for Necromancer. I'm sure I'll get back to it again. So yeah, all 6 Infernity monsters that you would normally use in XYZ build. And we play 3 Staggering Street Patrol. If you watched my 2014 Fire Water format Infernity build, I mentioned I wasn't playing 3 Street Patrol, but I mentioned that I was like, testing with the theory of 3 Street Patrol. But since Soul Charge is out, you get to your grave a lot easier. So 3 Street Patrol is really good, and it helps a lot with your combos because it just makes it you're not just handcuffed to 2 Street Patrol. Like if you need a third one, you can go for it. So 3 Street Patrol, and then I play for the Warriors. I play 2 Armageddon Knight, 2 Dark Grepher. Before in Fire Water format, I played 1 and 1, but I bumped it up to 2 and 2 for this format because you have 4 Monster Reborns compared to the one you used to have, which was this Infernity Launcher. You have 3 Soul Charge and Launcher obviously. So you can just dump all your stuff in the grave and then just reborn it pretty easily. Both have their perks. Armageddon Knight, it gets under Bottomless, it activates on summon, and you can Soul Charge it back and get the effect, which comes up. So that's the main perks to Armageddon Knight. And then Dark Grepher, obviously, if you have Street Patrol in hand, you can dump it. If you have a cloggy hand, you can dump it. So that's pretty good. So yeah, and playing 2 Grepher, like if you open a hand of like like all dudes and then like soul charge, two Gruffer is actually really important because you do like summon Gruffer, dump Street Patrol, and then to send Gruffer, and then you can like soul charge these guys back, and then Gruffer again, dump. Whereas like before, like you may not be able to do that if you're only playing like one Gruffer. So it's like a situation. It does get hit by balance, and it's no priority, so that's a little hazard. But yeah, both are really good, and I like the ratio of 2 and 2. And then we play Archie and Eris. This card I feel like is pretty staple. It sucks to draw, but it makes your Dark Ruffers and Armageddon Knights good because you just search Infernity Archie and then go off from there. Probably makes your deck more consistent overall to play it. And then a card that I am playing, or I played, was Tin Goldfish. It's my last monster. Obviously, Summoner Monk is really popular in Infernity at the time. I was playing at YCS Philly, and it's like, card was just so bad. It's just really bad going second. Having to play into like hand traps or regular traps. If you don't have a way to like protect it, because you have to ditch a spell, and then if they stop it, it's just like, well, I go neg pretty hard there, and my turn's over. Whereas like Tin Goldfish, I summon it. If they stop it, it's no big deal. It's a 1-for-1. I'm still in the game. Whereas like Summoner Monk, if it felt like if it got stopped, it felt like the game was just pretty much over. And with like decks like Geargia and Hat being so popular, with a lot of back row, I felt like it was more of a hazard to play Summoner Monk. So Tin Goldfish, I was pretty happy with it. So on to the spells. We obviously played 3 Soul Charge. Funny thing about this format, like, no, this is not this like Infernity only rules format. People think like because it like dominated at Worlds, Infernity best deck of Hat format. Worlds was a completely different format to Hat format because it's pretty much Infernity was like the only real deck of that format because they nerfed Geargia and they nerfed Hat and pretty much everything else except for Infernity because those cards were hit. There was cards hitting the OCG that weren't hitting the TCG, so they had like a split list, I think. So yeah, the other decks were butchered, and it was pretty much a easy getaway for Infernity win. But yeah, not downplaying Infernity, but as everyone thinks like this is just like Infernity format. But anyway, Soul Charge, really good card. Obviously, reborns all your stuff. You don't really care about the battle phase, life points. You don't really care about because you just activate this and you win. So this card was just like super hype. People think it like ruins the format, but I think it actually makes it better because if there was no Soul Charge, it will just be like literally just Geargia and Hat, and it wouldn't be a diverse format because you wouldn't have like the explosive decks, maybe less consistent, fighting against the decks that are like Hat and Geargia that are consistent but less explosive. So that was kind of like the thing I really liked about the format that was made it really fun to play. You had like these two things colliding and trying to see which one's the best one, and then the format was just super diverse. It was like a gazillion decks to play and they all seemed pretty decent. So again, I played Infernity at the time a lot, so yeah, Soul Charge, pretty nutty card. I think it was pretty healthy for the format. Might be debatable, but and then 37 cards, Upstart Goblin. Not playing Summoner Monk, but this card is just really good to dig for Soul Charge, obviously. And then I played 2 Instant Fusion. It was still really good card. You just summon any of your level 4s and you have a rank 4 player access to you right there with Instant Fusion. So yeah, the card's pretty solid. And then for the Wanos, I played Launcher, Rhoda, Labyrinth, and Foolish. Obvious staple, Rhoda, get to your warriors, and then Labyrinth, searchable off Eris, and then makes your Archfiends really big and gives you an extra search. So there's some cool plays you can do with this card, and then Foolish Burial to get stuff in the grave. So that's all the spells. Now onto the traps. I kind of play like a light spell lineup, and I play a heavier trap lineup, which might be a little bit different from Sahabi's list, which is really popular, or like other Infernity lists where they play like a lot of spells. So I'm gonna go into explaining that, but first we're gonna go over the staples. Obviously, we got Infernity Barrier and 3 Break. These are pretty staple. I don't think you can get away with 2 Break because third one comes up in the grind. If you're doing like a super boomer bust list, you might be able to get away with 2. But my build's like more so like built to grind and stall if I have to. So third break comes up a decent amount, and then barriers at 1, so you can only play 1. And we play 3 wiretap, which is not super popular in this deck. A lot of people would like, they just look at this hobby build where it's like Lance and MST. That build's has a completely different like game plan to what I'm going with. So the thing with Infernity, I felt like it was like if my play gets stopped, or like if I get stopped with a trap or hand trap, it was like I was pretty much like lose, right? Um, but I played playing wiretap made it so it was like I can play through like whatever. It didn't matter what back row they had. I can just wiretap their back row and just like I can make a Saiton knowing I'm gonna blow up their whole field, or make a play like with confidence having wiretap set if I'm playing into like 5 back row rather than having like a MST to snipe something one of like 5 back row. So yeah, wiretap I felt like was really good against like the really popular decks, Geargia and Hat. Those are like the most represented decks in the format. So I was like targeting the most represented decks with wiretap, and it performed really well. Obviously, it's not so good against like other decks like Sylvan, Mermel, yada yada, spellbooks maybe, or whatever else you would maybe play. But this is like the target. I mean, there's a really diverse format, but those are really the 2 like most represented decks, Geargia and Hat. So, and they're both back row decks. So wiretap was just really good against those decks. And then we play 3 Phoenix Chain. Again, not a very popular card, but I felt like it was really diverse for a diverse format, because it protects you from strong monster effects. Like moral attack on your turn. You can Phoenix Chain it, stop them. If they summon a hand to try to crash into your Infernity Archfiend or something to bait out a barrier, Phoenix Chain. They're still kind of stuck. If your opponent goes gear into a gear kind of X, you can just Phoenix Chain it, and then they're you're kind of 1-for-1 with their gear in a sense. So yeah, Phoenix Chain I felt like it was really diverse card, and it's really good because and stopping the attack was really important too, because like I wanted to like build up a field. If I get stopped, I have something to sit back on, and so if like they stop like a Necromancer play for a turn, and I have like these cards to back me up, it's like okay, I'm just gonna do this next turn. So and probably win. So there was a lot of situations where that would come up where it's like I get effective failure to max E. Okay, it's not a big deal. I'll just win next turn. Whereas like maybe more like combo oriented builds where it's like if they get hand trapped or trapped, it's like, well, where do I go from here? So yeah, that's kind of like the reason I'm playing those cards. And it also makes it really easy post side to play with these cards too, which I'll go into. And for some one-offs, I played Compulsory, Bottomless, and Solemn Warning. Compulsory, kind of similar to Phoenix Chain, where it's like you can just, it's good going second to spin like an Exceed or something, or if your opponent goes gear, you can just spin the X guy or whatever problem card you're having to deal with. And then Bottomless is good because you can same thing, you just kill whatever Exceed play they make, and then we have Warning. So they all do similar things, but they're all pretty good, I feel like, and pretty diverse traps. So yeah, that is the main deck. I'm gonna go into the extra deck. So in Fire Water format, I played 3 Lava Chain, and I'm still playing 3, which is more important in this format because again, like it's kind of like the Street Patrol thing where it's like if you have only 2, you use 1 early and maybe it gets stopped, you still have 2 more. Or I mean, even with Soul Charge, there's some like wonky plays where it's optimal to go for 3. So you don't have to like worry about it's like, oh man, I only have 2 Lavalval Chain. It's like okay, you still have the 3rd one, so you can kind of do your full combo and go for game. So yeah, I like 3 a lot. 2 Diamond Direwolf, really good card. Have to play 2. So this is actually a staple to play it 2. Third one even comes up every once in a blue moon. But yeah, this card is good for, you have to use 1 for your combo and then to destroy your field, and then it's also good for just like, going to your opponent's resources, like, because you're just like, you get to a point where you're just throwing a bunch of like level 4 monsters on the field, so you can afford to Diamond Direwolf something your opponent has, and then like you have to get your monsters engraved to keep on going. So it's really good to get your guys engraved. So, and then we play 2 Levier. Now a lot of builds only play like 1 Levier because they played like 2 Necromancer, but I play 3, so I can afford to play 2 Levier. And Leviers is good for like if they DD Crow or Bottomless you're arching, 2 Necromancers, Levier. So Levier is a really good card. And just for like a bunch of XYZs, we got Excite Tonight to blow up your field. The Sahabi build played 2 of this. His build was like really like make Excite Tonight. It was like the Excite Tonight Turbo, and then just like combo. If you don't have a board kind of thing, or that was the idea of his build. Mine's like more grind through what you got, whatever, and just win anyways, because this deck can grind really well with like necromancers and stuff like that. But anyways, 1 Excite Tonight, I feel like you only need 1, but if you're playing like a different build, you might need 2. But yeah, this card's pretty nuts. You can wiretap summon this, blow up a 5 back row, pretty good. You got 101. Don't really make this a whole lot, but if you need a body for game, you can snatch something like a hand with it. So it's pretty good. Key Beetle, really good for protecting your board, so you can like end with Key Beetle, protect barrier, or whatever else you have, because Dark Hole is legal this format, so you can protect one of your monsters like a Levier or a Necromancer, or you can protect barrier, or post side you can protect a Floodgate, which comes up a lot against like more combo decks. So yeah, Key Beetle is really good. And then we play Dweller. Dweller obviously stops a good amount of decks. I actually have a cool story about Dweller in a second. Play Rhapsody and Berserk. This card is so cool. So pretty much, it's a DD Crow times 2 when you and then you can equip it to an Exceed monster you have, and it gains 1200 attack. And then on top of that, it's a Fiend, so you can banish it with Palabyrinth to summon another Archfiend. So you can it's a good way to get a Fiend to banish. If you have like Armageddon, Nightgraph, or Archfiend on field, you can do like overlay those 2 into Rhapsody, banish 2 in their grave, and then summon another Archfiend with Palabyrinth. But I had a cool play against Mermel. I remember on Dueling Network where he had Leo on the field, and that was like his only way of like kind of stopping me, or his ideal way. And he had Title Engrave. So I mean, I have like unlimited resources at this point, but obviously I don't have like any monsters to deal with the Leo. So I did a cool play where it's like, okay, I made Rhapsody banish his Title and Pike in the grave, which is level 4 water monster. And I did something like Levier. I did Levier. Oh, that's not Levier. I did Levier to bring back his Pike, because Levier can get opponent's monsters too that are removed from play. So I got his Pike on my field, and then I overlaid my monster and his Pike into Dweller. Dweller gains 500 attack, so he's up to 22, and then equip Rhapsody to it, gains 1200, and can beat over the Leo. So that was a really cool play. I always kind of remember it because I was like, oh, I can do this kind of thing. So yeah, Rhapsody is a really good card. And we played Cowboy for game. Comes up a lot, so pretty good card. And for Infusion targets, we play the Wizard and the Fusionist. This is relative because compared to Darkfire Dragon, because it gets under balance, so it kind of hurts or doesn't feel good if you Infusion and it gets bombs for no reason when you're trying to go for like Exciton play or something like that. And then Fusionist is just a level 3 for the the Leviair plays. So yeah, that's the extra deck. Now I'm going to go into my side deck. It's this is my deck list from the time of that format. I feel like current format hat or like current hat format, if you were to go back and play it now, it's gonna be quite a bit different. I played in that hat tournament like several months ago with this list that I had, just to see how it would do. And the decks are a lot more aggro because obviously people have a lot more time to do things now, like explore the format. So decks are a lot more aggro now for current hat format. But this is just my theory of how I used to play it, and it worked out pretty well. But I'm gonna explain it. But my whole thing was like my whole build was kind of like based around like the post sideboard because you're playing most of your games after siding. So in this deck, it's obviously not good to go second post side. Like assume you win game 1 and you're going second game 2. It's not good to play through like your opponent's hate, back row, floodgates, and hand traps, max heat. It's just really hard. It puts a lot of pressure on you. So I kind of like had like a big side deck. I took out a lot of combo cards in the main deck and post side and to get a lot of good going second cards. So honestly, Dark Hole against the spamming board kind of field decks or something like that. Mind Control against Hat and the Gear Game matchup. You just take their armor or hand or whatever, and then make it exceed with it. 3 MST. I sided this card. This card wasn't really good in the main deck too much because again the decks that side or like set a bunch of back row. They're setting mass back row like Hat and Gear Gear, so not really good to have MST against like 5 back row. And then on top of, it's not good at space like blind space either because Hat they have the artifacts, so don't want to trigger those cards. So this was more so against something like Bujin, where you can just MST the Kaiser Coliseum and go on with your day. So MST in the side. And I side deck 3 Vanity's Emptiness. This card wasn't really too good in the main deck. For one, it's not really a good card going second. And again, the format was really diverse, whereas like you have a bunch of combo decks, and then like you have like other decks like Hat and Gear were more common. So like having these cards against those decks wasn't really good. And then so I sided this a lot going first against like combo decks, and then depending on the combo deck, I would side it going second as well. But yeah, Vanity's Emptiness really good. And if like for instance you go first and you have Emptiness. In like a rank 4 play, you say your opponent max sees you. Okay, I'm just gonna go into a Key Beetle and have a Key Beetle lock with Emptiness, and that really honestly got you there a lot of the time. Where it's like they they can't really take care of Key Beetle and Emptiness, and they just kind of lose. So that's why Emptiness is on the side, and yeah, really good card. 3 Trapstun. So I have Wiretap in the main deck and Trapstun on the side. And Trapstun is just more so for like those back row decks compared to MST. It went side in MST really against like Gear or Hat. And I like the reason I'm main decking Wiretap compared to Trapstun is Trapstun you have to do it preemptively, whereas Wiretap you can just like catch them in a quick spot with it. And it stops. There's like Black Horn of Heavens and Solemn Warning that you can stop with Wiretap as well. So yeah, Trapstun really good against those decks, obviously, because you can just Excite Tonight or go for a blowout play. And I play 2 Light Imprisoning Mirror. I don't remember. I remember not liking this card very much, but I was just looking back at my list. I think I had it in the side at some point, but I might have taken out. Pretty much the Light Swarm, the Light Swarm Ruler deck was I kind of figured out it wasn't really a good deck. I feel like probably before other people it might be a worse matchup for other decks, but like for Infernity, I felt like that deck just like has really good matchup against it. So, but this is more so maybe against Bujin because like that deck is kind of annoying if they open well. Like Yamato, Kaiser Coliseum is like and then Yamato is like really hard to kill. You need to like something like barrier to like stop their grave effect protecting Yamato, and so yeah, it was kind of annoying. Um, so yeah, Light Mirror was kind of for that. And then something I probably wouldn't suggest doing, but I decided needle sealing. This was for like a mirror match at the time, but honestly, Sahabi he like side decked like Max E against something like the mirror if you came across it. Uh, which Max E is probably better than needle sealing to be honest, because needle sealing is like they're searching a bunch of breaks and barriers. So like needle sealing is probably good beforehand, where you have like 3 barriers and like a break. Uh, but with 3 breaks, they can just break you at the end phase and snipe your needle sealing, and you just lose. And then on top of that, a lot of people are probably making Key Beetle as well. So this card wasn't really good. It might be good against like other decks. I would side it sometimes. Like you can probably get away with like setting a Necromancer, and like against other combo decks, needle sealing, something like that. But I would probably not side deck this card. Yeah, but yeah, that was my Infernity build for hat format. It performed really well at the time. Obviously, I would have to probably like if I'm really into Edison format right now, so I'm actually currently first place on that ranked ladder. Um, Not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just kind of a cool thing to do. But yeah, I'm really into Edison format, play that a lot. But if I ever get in the hat format again, which I enjoyed the format a lot. If it gets really popular, it's like a lot of tournaments. I might get back into it and see how Hat or Infernity does. Um, People usually, again, people, they think of like they think of Soul Charge and they're like, oh god, Infernity, the won Worlds and it did good at Nationals. Again, it's not like the only deck in the format, so people usually like overside against the deck, kind of like Dark Worlds in 2011 when it first came out. It's like, I have to play against like 3 Flying C, 3 Maxi, 3 DD Crows. Like, what is going on? So people are a little bit more prepared for this deck, which is fine. That there's more decks to play during that format. There's a lot of fun decks to play, so I might check it back out soon. If there's any tournaments for Hat or something like that, I might dip back into it. But yeah, yeah, that was my Infernity deck profile. I might do like a combo or dueling or a match for this deck at some point. If anyone's interested, leave your comments down below if you're interested, or leave a like. Uh, and yeah, if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like or comment, and I'll see you guys later.